guys, welcome back to Pinehaven Acres. My name is Kirsten and we are at our 14-week-old rabbit evaluation with the silver fox litter. I'm super excited. This is going to be our final evaluation that I'll be posting on this channel. They are very big now, and I think it's about time we make our final decisions on whether they're going to be show quality, brood, or culls. So we are going to evaluate each of them individually, and then we'll compare their photos, their post photos from the past couple of weeks, and just see how they've changed. If you are watching this video and you have not seen our previous evaluations, I recommend you go check those out first, and I'll leave a link to all of those in the description. Before we start, I did want to mention that I am not a licensed judge, so the following evaluation is just my opinion and how I interpret the standard. The standard that I'm going off of is the Standard of Perfection from the American Rabbit Breeders Association, and this tells me everything I need to know about the breed and what the judges are looking at and the points difference and all of that. So this is what I'm going off of when I'm evaluating the rabbits here. And yeah, let's get started. So with them being 14 weeks old, we are trying to aim between 6¼ and 6½ pounds. And this is our first doe here. She is right in the middle of that. She's at 6 pounds, 6 ounces. And that is a 6-ounce gain from last week. Now she has a pretty decent top line. I would like to see more depth on her, and then I also would like to see her peak placement be a little bit farther back. She just tends to flatten off and kind of slope on this area here, but her loin is still very nice, and her width really balances out with the depth that she does have. So overall, she's a very well-balanced animal. Her shoulders are nice and wide, and they taper into her hindquarter very nicely. Her feet are actually pretty straight, so that's good as well. And you can see already she is very heavily silvered, and it does not balance into her head, ears, and feet. It's still very dark in this area, so I don't think it's really going to even out completely as an adult. We do have some nice silvering coming in at the base of her head, but it's very sparse everywhere else. So her coat is still very soft, and I've been saying that the last couple evaluations. It stands up nicely back here, but then as we get closer to her head and then on the sides, it's just too soft. It doesn't have the coarseness to really stand up by itself. So when I do brush it back, it just tends to roll back in place. It doesn't have the stiffness to hold itself up. I'm sure it'll get a little bit more coarse. And it is windy today too. The wind is blowing this direction, so it wants it to fly back anyway, but it's super soft. She has gotten more dense in the last week, so that's good. Good length on it. So overall, she's not a terrible looking animal. She's not one that I would call. I think she would do best as a brood animal. She wouldn't do the greatest in shows. I think she'd place about in the middle, just because of her lack of depth really compared to the other animals that would be on the table, and then her uneven silvering. And they might even mention something about the coat texture. It's not bad. I've competed against other silver foxes that have really short fur and it kind of flies back or rolls back. But if there was stiff competition, her coat would definitely not be, a winning factor for her. This is our first doe, and we will pull up her other pictures from the last couple of weeks that we've been doing this and just check them out. This is our second doe, and she weighs 6 pounds and 3 ounces. I believe she made about a 5 or 6 ounce gain since last week. So she's done a lot better on her weight the past 2 weeks. Now, if you remember, I'll pull up these pictures again too at the end of this evaluation, but she had terrible long shoulders. She was just super narrow and long, and she was definitely on the call list. She did not look good at all. But last week, she was super filled in. Her shoulders were not nearly as bad as they have been. She caught up on her weight. Her silvering came in. So she was looking pretty good. So I'm hoping she is still looking pretty decent. Would you look at that? She actually doesn't look that bad. And this is why, folks, we grow our rabbits out. So she has a very nice rise. I really like this. Now, when she relaxes, she does, still have a little bit dip in her shoulder. She sometimes looks like she has a late start to her rise because of that shoulder, but it's not nearly as bad as it was like 3 weeks ago, even 4 weeks ago. It was just awful. And now she's very filled in, like she feels solid. Her silvering is actually pretty nice. It's not completely even, like on top. It's a little bit heavier than it is down here on the sides. You can see her head is still pretty dark, but it is coming in very even on her ears, and then the base of her ears, we're still not seeing much on the tip of her face and her feet, but she has a very nice amount of silvering right here on the top, and she has more coarseness to her coat than the first doe. It's still soft, but it's a lot better than the first doe. Good length. Her density is not quite as nice as the first does though, but it's still pretty decent. So overall, I think she would make a pretty good brood doe as well. This is our third doe, and you guys, this is crazy. She's almost at 7 pounds. She's at 6 pounds, 14 ounces, but she's only 14 weeks old. Like, she's a week, almost 2 weeks ahead in her weight. That's awesome. You're gonna be a giant bunny. So yeah, she's doing really good on weight. That was an 8 ounce gain since last week. Excellent. She still feels pretty well filled in. I'm watching these lower hindquarters. She is pinched, unfortunately, just a little bit, but you can definitely see it. You can see how it kind of cuts down. So that's not the greatest thing. Now, she doesn't really like her head going down like it should, but when it does, like, look at that. That's crazy. She does have a little bit of a start, or a late start to her rise, so her head really should be right here, but it's a little flat where her shoulders are before she starts coming up, which she could grow into. We'll see. But she has the depth, she has the weight, like, she might be staying here. And her coat, she has the least amount of silvering, I believe, yes, out of her sisters, besides the chocolate. So out of the black colored ones, she has the least amount of silvering, but it's still even. And because she has a very good amount of silvering, it's not too heavy, it looks better when her silvering comes in on her head. Now, on her head, you can still see, it's still pretty black. And hers might not even be completely even as an adult, but because she doesn't have so much on her body, it makes what she does have on her head look more even compared to the stuff on her body. So very excited about her. That's crazy. And her head is so, like, square. she looks like she's not even related to her sisters. Like, her head is just a completely different shape. I'd have to see on her dad's side. She actually looks like one of my other bucks that I didn't even breed the doe to. She just looks like she comes out of those lines. But yeah, I'm very excited about her. She actually looks pretty nice. I could already tell when we first started our evaluations with her a couple weeks ago, her legs are just so thick, like in diameter, they're huge. And then also long ears, but her ears are normal, they look normal. There's some lines that I've dealt with that their ears are super long, but they're really thick. And then just really like tree trunk front legs. That automatically tells me as when they're babies, they're going to be a massive rabbit. So very excited about her. And I'm going to consider keeping her. I'm going to grow her out a little bit longer, but I just want to see, what she's really going to look like as an adult, if her shoulders are going to become an issue, if her pinched hindquarters become worse, all those kind of things before I just sell her, because they're going to change still, right? But we can mostly tell what they're going to look like right now and make our decisions and have them be pretty accurate. But she's one that I would consider keeping. So I'm going to grow her out a little bit longer, and I might bring her to Silver Fox Nationals in 3.5, 4 weeks from now. Get some other opinions on her. None of these rabbits in the litter have been shown, so we'll see what the judges say. But yeah, very excited. And this is our last rabbit of the litter. This is our chocolate doe. And she actually gained 7 ounces since last week, which is pretty impressive, especially for her because she's been the smallest in the litter. And the past couple weeks, she has really just been skin and bones. Not much to her. But last week, she really filled in. So this week, she's looking even better. And I'm excited to pose her up and especially compare her photos from the last couple of weeks. So now she's at 6 pounds 1 ounce. I would like to have her weigh a little bit more, but she has made huge improvements since last week and even the week before. So we're gonna let it slide this week. She just seems to be catching up like a week late. So from the side, she looks pretty decent. I would like to see a little bit more depth on her, and it looks like she does peak a little early. From the top, she looks long, but I think in reality she's really not that bad. She's more like a rectangle. She doesn't taper that much from her shoulders to her hindquarters, but she's really filled in. She's just all muscle, which is really good. From the viewfinder, she actually looks pretty nice, but from the angle that I'm at, she just seems a little flat. I would like to see more of a dramatic rise and downfall. Overall, she's not bad. She's not bad at all. I think she's one that I'm going to have to grow out for a couple more weeks just to really see what she looks like, because she's been making drastic changes the past couple of weeks and she hasn't quite evened out and become more consistent like her sisters have. So she's a bit unpredictable at this point. I'd really like to see what she looks like in maybe 1 or 2 weeks from now to make a good decision, because I do have 1 or 2 older chocolate does that I'd like to retire from breeding. So if she turns out to be nice, then I could keep her. But if she doesn't, then I'll know by then. So for her coat, it's been different from her sisters ever since we started filming this little series, it rolls back quite quickly, and it doesn't have really the texture that her sister's does. You can see it, it's like flopping back quite quickly. It's not standing up on end. So I'm wondering, because she doesn't really have much silvering in, she really only has silvering up here, nothing on her head, nothing on her feet, not really anything on her ears. This stuff down here is still coming in. I'm wondering if it's flying back because it's a baby coat. I don't know. Yeah, it's just strange. So it's got good length to it, same length as her sister's. It doesn't feel too thin. I mean, it could be more dense, but it's not terrible. So yeah, we need to grow her out a little bit longer, and just look at it, because yeah, she's been changing too much in the past weeks to really determine what she'll look like in, say, 3 weeks from now. So yeah, we'll keep an eye on her. Overall, not terrible. Again, she'd probably place middle class, but with chocolates we don't have much competition, so we shall see.